Hey guys, Ewan here with the Old School Labs, and I have some interesting updates for you. Some interesting bodybuilding news, and here, firstly, we're gonna start with Keone Pearson, with his most recent physique update, and goddamn, aren't those guns insanely big. Look at him, every time we see this guy, he looks bigger than before. He just keeps growing like crazy. And actually, I'm starting to believe that he actually was natural before that Arnold Classic, was it? Yeah. At the Arnold Classic, he said he was natural, and then he started using at the New York Pro 2019, where he looked significantly improved from the Arnold Classic. Nobody really believed that. Most people didn't really believe it, but based on this, man, it's not really that hard to believe that stuff. I mean, yeah, you don't really compete at the Arnold Classic and you take 4th place. After George Peterson, Steve Lorius, and Courage Opara, he was 4th in the Arnold Classic, which is the second biggest show in the world in the classic physique. Yes, he switched to 212, which is something he had to do. His body just wants to grow. So was he really natural at the Arnold Classic? It can be the case. Yeah, because look at him now. Now that he is quote-unquote finally on drugs, admittedly. Now he's growing like crazy. I mean, yeah, he's a young guy. So he would be growing anyways. He's not like reaching his potential, his limit anytime soon. He's like, I don't know, 23 maybe, something like that. For 23, look at the size of those delts and those arms in particular. And the back. He really grew that back a lot. And you guys know that he has amazing legs as well. His only weakness, his chest. His chest is horrible. Everything else is just on point. His chest is really shallow though. There is sort of a gap between his pecs, but it's also pretty small, undeveloped. He needs to grow it, but other than that, he's super complete. He has insanely small waist with an amazing vacuum, with big lats, insanely large arms and forearms, good legs, good glutes, good hamstrings. He can bring the conditioning. He's a shorter guy, but for 212, this is ideal. This is ideal. Can he win the next Mr. Olympia? I mean, yeah, this is crazy saying something like this because he never competed in 212, but why not? Why not? He says he's going to be competing in the late 2021. That could be the Mr. Olympia competition. So maybe he's going to try to qualify for the Mr. Olympia and then compete. Is that a possibility? Hell yeah. He can easily qualify and compete. Can he win? Can he beat Kamal Gargni or Derek Lunsford? Those guys are like top 2. One of them is going to be the Mr. Olympia 2020 this year. So he's going to have to beat probably one of those 2 guys. Can he do it? I mean, yeah, his chest is shallow, but other than that, he's amazing. And after another year of growing, another 2 years, let's say, a year and a half of growing, wow, that's going to be amazing. So it's great that he switched to 212, and I can believe that he was actually natural at that point where he said that he was, because look at how fast he's growing now. Look at the size of his arms. This really gets me depressed as a competitor. I mean, I can try my whole life. If I had, I don't know, 50 years of being 20 years old, I could never grow these arms. Never. This is genetic. You either have these or you just don't have it. And this guy absolutely has insane arm genetics. I mean, if you are a bodybuilder, you gotta end with this guy. I mean, this is insane. Look at his size. So, yeah, we'll see him at the Mr. Olympia, I believe, 2021. As he says, that's gonna be the year where he's competing. But I believe he will qualify for the Mr. Olympia and then compete and potentially crack top 6. Yeah. Can he win? It's a possibility, not very likely, of course, but it's a potential. Yeah, he is a potential. He's a potential Mr. Olympia winner, 212. Yeah. So whatever you guys think about Keone, let me know down below in the comment section. Let's go with the next update, and it's gonna be Heath. So it's not really too much of a physique update, but it's an update. We have this and we have another thing also. Here you can see the size of his arms. And yeah, Phil is known for having huge arms. No matter what he does, his arms will stay there. Is he off the cycle right now? He's probably cruising or something, because he's not really losing the size, but he's not as hard. So he doesn't have enough androgens to stay hard. So yeah, he's probably like cruising, doing some TRT stuff or something like that. I don't think he's on PCT or anything like that. I'm sure he's on low doses, just trying to maintain what he has. Because I don't think he'll be competing again. Yeah, unfortunately. Maybe I changed my mind based on what he posts in the future. Maybe he doesn't want to do it right now, but he changes his mind. But based on what I saw in a post before this one, yeah, I can make that conclusion. So let me show you. So he posted this photo of this funny looking snake that seems to be paying attention to something. As he says, I've been paying close attention to a lot lately. Let's just say that I'm onto a lot more than what social media and mainstream media lead on. And you can read the rest if you want, but it doesn't really matter that much. What's the point is that he says he's onto a lot more than what social media leads on. So what we are saying, I mean, the social media, I am part of that social media, is that he will be competing at the Athleticon, that he is a part of the promoters, organizers, whatever. So he basically is saying that there is a lot more. Does that mean that he's gonna compete again at the Mr. Olympia? Is that really more than what people are saying? It's less, actually. So what he's saying is that he is having another project. I mean, he's trying to do something else. He also says he's reading a lot of books and he's trying to enhance certain parts of his, intellect or whatever. He's trying to make some kind of achievements in some other fields, it seems. So I think he's talking about some kind of business venture. I don't think, based on this, that he's going to be competing again. If he was competing, he wouldn't be talking about it this way because he already talked down about Mr. Olympia and basically competing in bodybuilding. He's disappointed, guys. I mean, he wasn't expecting to lose that title and he thinks he was robbed. I mean, that's what he was basically saying at the Generation Iron interview and a couple of other times at the Dave Palumbo RX Muscle interview as well. So, yeah, I don't think he's talking about Mr. Olympia right here. Does this necessarily mean that he's not going to compete at the Mr. Olympia? No, but I would say 90% chances are that we're not going to see him at the Mr. Olympia stage or probably any stage, really. I mean, he has nothing more to prove. He's 7 times Mr. Olympia. Can he become 8 times Mr. Olympia like Ronnie or Keone? He can, sure, but he will never be considered the greatest. Many people, everybody pretty much considers Ronnie the greatest, and it will be 8 in a row. So he's still 3rd best bodybuilder in the world based on results because, he's tied with Arnold, so 3rd or 4th, I guess you can say. So Keone and Ronnie Coleman, and then it's Phil and Arnold. So if he took that 8 title, he would be better than Arnold. So he should do it, in my opinion, but it's not really... it's probably not worth it for him. I mean, it's a lot of sacrifice to compete at the Mr. Olympia level again after taking this whole time off, and I have to say that he's probably not going to compete again. Whatever you guys think, let me know. We have an update of Patrick Moore as well. I'm going to be short with this one because I mentioned him a couple of times before. Based on this, you can see that he's pretty lean for the off-season, if this is off-season, but I think it is. And he's getting ready for, I don't know which show, but he's probably going to try to qualify for the Mr. Olympia again and then, I don't know, potentially break his previous performance. I mean, beat his previous performance. Can he do it? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. He needs to come perfectly peaked like he did in 2019. So in order for him to do that, he really needs to nail it. And will he nail it? That's a big question. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But based on what I can see from his posts, he's really devoted. He's really dedicated. He's really motivated. So I expect a lot from Patrick Moore in the future. He's definitely going to make improvements. I just hope he's going to come with conditioning and with perfect fullness like he did at the Arnold, at the Mr. Olympia, but not at the Arnold Classic. He failed at the Arnold Classic. He missed the mark. So hopefully he will bring that Mr. Olympia shape with added size. And that's going to be a good package. Potentially better than top 10. We also have a physique update of an off-season Chris Bumstead. Here you can see that he kind of gets a bit chubby in the off-season. So he doesn't really keep the best shape in the off-season, but I mean, that's fine. He's not really fat. I mean, of course, he's just a little bit watery, I guess. Maybe he has a little bit of fat on his body as well. But what I don't like about his physique is the shape of it in the off season. He doesn't really look super aesthetic in the off season. I'm not sure why. I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I'm not seeing well. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't find it aesthetic. He looks blocky, right? Wouldn't you say so? He kind of looks blocky. His back seems really dominant in the offseason. His arms look pretty small, and his waist doesn't look that small. I mean, it gets insanely small when he's shredded, when he's contest ready, but in the offseason, not super aesthetic. Not really. So, whatever you guys think, let me know down below in the comment section. But yeah, I mean, that's just off-season. It doesn't really matter. What matters is how you look on stage, and Chris looks like a winner, and that's what he is. Alright, and the last update is rather interesting one. I mean, at least for me. I found this very interesting because I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. I hope you are too, guys, because, I mean, yeah, that's probably the best podcast on YouTube. He has some really good guests, and he's a funny guy as well. I mean, I like him. So he's doing a podcast now with Ronnie Coleman. He did a podcast with Dorian Yates not so long ago, and that podcast really went well. So now he's bringing another bodybuilder, the best bodybuilder of all time, Ronnie Coleman. Now, I'm sure the stories that Ronnie has are not nearly as interesting as those of Dorian, but then again, Ronnie is the ultimate champion, the best bodybuilder of all time, so whatever he says, it's interesting. And of course, he had an interesting life if he achieved what he achieved. So he was definitely extremely determined, and we like to hear about that mindset. And I'm sure Joe Rogan will like to hear about that. And I like the fact that these guys find bodybuilders interesting. The same thing, I mean, not the same thing, but actually much bigger thing happened with Patrick Bat David and Valuetainment. Those guys started hosting bodybuilders every week, pretty much. Almost all top bodybuilders, I mean, not really all, but many of them went that podcast, and all those videos did really well. And I love it. I mean, bodybuilders, they can be boring sometimes, but sometimes they're very interesting because everybody has different methods and different mindsets in order to achieve the same result. And it is an individual sport. It's not like soccer. I mean, if you are a soccer player, you do the same thing like everybody else does. It's all about how hard you try or how talented you are. In bodybuilding, everybody has different methods, different way of thinking, and that's what everybody likes to hear. That unique point of view or that unique work ethic. We just want to hear what were the ways that Ronnie was doing this stuff, and I'm sure that's going to be interesting, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun watching this podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed to Joe Rogan Podcast YouTube channel, you should do that. You should definitely do that. I mean, that's a trendy thing to do today, of course, but it's a really good podcast. I mean, if you like podcasts, that's the one. That's the one, man. I'm sure everybody here knows about this podcast, of course, Joe Rogan. And if you guys are fans of Joe Rogan and of course Ronnie Coleman, make sure to watch this video, and then we can talk about it after we hear what Ronnie has to say. I'm sure there's going to be something interesting, and I'll be the first to make a video about whatever interesting Ronnie says and give you my take on it, just like I did on these, well, stories and updates, I guess. If you enjoyed this video, guys, however, like it, and if you want to see more, subscribe. All the best, guys, and keep it old school.